A lot of fans are asking me about John Fury, saying, is it staged? Is this real? I'll be totally straight with you. This is real. As far as I'm concerned, when somebody starts running the mouth and threatening me, I take it very seriously. This is not staged. This is not a pantomime, as much as it could look like one if I end up in the ring with it. You're fucking useless. I'm not being funny, listen, I'm talking about professional boxing level. At the level he's at, he's done all right. He's got decent balance, throws a decent backhand from the southpaw stance. But let's be honest, this would be a mismatch. Even at 48 years old, retired 11 years, it's a mismatch. But is there any money in it? Is there any cash in it? I don't know. Maybe.
What's going through your mind? Why do you think he's done this bet?
Can't believe how lucky we are, you know, and thanks Saudi again for having us here. It's just getting better and better here in Saudi Arabia. I want to come back. I want to do business here and nowhere else in the world. Here's where it's at. They're great people. They treat people with ultimate respect no matter who they are, you know, and I find...
Let me go, let go. He doesn't even try and stay in there. He just taps out instantly like a little bitch. Gets choked out. So he's talking about choking me out. I'm choking myself here now, getting excited. Well, you know, I've watched the guy get choked out, and he's talking about, you know, it's not good. He needs to have a reality check and realise who he's talking to. And he's calling me on in a boxing match in a professional capacity. Different world, different sport. Listen, there's level.
The boxing world just exploded. Carl Froch versus John Fury is officially happening on September 26, 2026, and this isn't some celebrity circus act or money grab exhibition. This is a legitimate professional fight with real stakes, real consequences, and two men who genuinely despise each other. Froch didn't just casually mention this date in some interview. He made an official announcement, which means contracts are signed, venues are booked, and there's no backing out now. And here's what makes this absolutely wild. John Fury has been running his mouth for months, talking about how he'd destroy Froch, how he'd choke him out, how his decades of street fighting experience would overwhelm the former world champion. Well, now he's got his chance to prove it. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. Fury just walked into a trap he doesn't even realize he's in.
To the stage where the broadcasters are quite interested, and he's making demands now, unreasonable demands about trying to get Tommy Fury on to fight before him and me. He's basically put a blockade in there with his son Tommy, which is ridiculous because, let's be honest, no one gives a shit about Tommy fighting. Who cares? We watched him against Fake Paul. Watch that fight, and Tommy's done nothing since. He pulled out against Darren Till, and he's done fuck all since, so no one's bothered. Big John Fury running his mouth, big gobshite, making a load of noise, making a nuisance.
Here's where John Fury's delusions start crashing into reality. Carl Froch isn't holding back anymore, and his recent comments are absolutely brutal. He's calling out Fury's complete lack of professional experience, pointing out that for all his tough talk about choking people out and being some kind of unstoppable force, the man has never actually faced a real professional boxer in his entire life. Think about that for a second. John Fury is 60 years old, talks like he's some kind of legendary fighter, but his actual professional record is practically non-existent. Meanwhile, Froch has been in the ring with the absolute elite of world boxing. We're talking about a guy who fought Mikkel Kessler twice, destroyed George Groves in front of 80,000 people at Wembley, went to war with Andre Ward, and never once backed down from anyone. Fury can scream and threaten all he wants, but when September 26th comes around, all that street fighting bravado is going to mean absolutely nothing against someone who spent his entire career perfecting the art of professional violence.
I'm not going to big myself up too much. So he's never stepped into the ring, which is what I'm trying to get at, with a real professional boxer, ever. And recently he's been running his mouth saying, if you got me in a ring, a boxing ring, UFC ring, the only ring I'd be getting is a boxing ring. He said he'd choke me out. So maybe when he sees me, he's talking about choking me out. But let's just be clear about this. He won't be choking out anybody. And the last time I watched a bit of Darren Till in the UFC ring, he was tapping out and getting choked out himself like a little bitch. And he taps out really fast as well. He's not like my mate Michael Bisping, who gets choked by GSP and he refuses to tap. He goes out on his shield. He gets choked unconscious and the ref has to jump in. Darren Till, let me go, let go. He doesn't even try and stay in there. He just taps out instantly like a little bitch. He gets choked out. So he's talking about choking me out. I'm choking myself here now, getting excited. Well, you know, I've watched the guy get choked out. He's talking about, you know, it's just, It's not good. He needs to have a reality check and realise who he's talking to. And he's calling me on in a boxing match in a professional capacity. Different world, different sport. Listen, there's levels to the game, mate. Have a look over the shoulder. It's not your level. It's not your level. It's not your game. Stay out of my zone.
But wait, it gets even better. John Fury is out here claiming he's got decades of experience, talking about how tough he is, how nobody can handle his aggression, but Eddie Hearn and the boxing insiders are absolutely tearing him apart behind the scenes. They're pointing out something crucial that casual fans might miss. There's a massive difference between being loud and intimidating at press conferences versus actually having the skills to back it up when the lights are brightest. Fury's confidence is entertaining, sure, but confidence doesn't teach you how to slip punches, how to time your attacks, or how to handle the pressure when 10,000 people are screaming and someone with genuine knockout power is trying to separate your head from your shoulders. Carl Froch has thrived in those exact moments his entire career. The bigger the stage, the more pressure, the better he performed. And here's what's really crazy. Fury doesn't seem to understand that his own unpredictable, wild man persona is actually going to work against him. Froch has faced genuine psychopaths in the ring, guys who could actually fight and were mentally unhinged. John Fury is just mentally unhinged.
You know what I'm saying? I've been around the gyms all my life. I've come off 200 years of knowledge in my head. These people can't compete with John Fury, and you'll see it.
Now here's where the expert analysis gets really interesting. Eddie Hearn and Carl Froch have been strategically dismantling John Fury's entire persona, and it's beautiful to watch. They're not just trading insults, they're exposing fundamental flaws in Fury's approach that are going to get him hurt. Hearn pointed out that Fury's overconfidence isn't backed by any actual professional achievements, while Froch's calm, calculated responses show he's already 3 steps ahead mentally. Watch any recent interview with both men, and you'll see the difference immediately. Fury is screaming, gesticulating wildly, making threats that sound more like a drunk guy at a pub than a professional fighter. Meanwhile, Froch is breaking down exactly how he's going to exploit Fury's recklessness, speaking with the quiet confidence of someone who's been in life-or-death situations and come out on top. The tactical advantage isn't even close. Fury thinks his unpredictability is an asset, but any professional boxer will tell you that wild, undisciplined aggression is just a collection of openings waiting to be exploited by someone with proper timing and technique.
Yeah, you cracking up laughing. What was all that about?
Yeah.
What was so funny about that? Why didn't you stay? Why didn't you say then? Why didn't you step in and say, "Hang on a minute"? Froch, in a boxing match.
I even told him I think he'd knock you out, like personally.
What, as in to try and build it?
I'd love the fight though, wouldn't it? I mean, like, you got Tony Bellew over there, he's thinking, do you know what, I could beat that Bridgerweight. Like, I watch you on the bag sometimes, right? You, in my opinion...
Tell you coming back?
He said, like, I just feel like a fight comes up, you know what it's like, you've looked...
Here's what's really driving Carl Froch crazy, and honestly, I respect him for this. He's watching John Fury turn boxing into some kind of reality TV spectacle, chasing headlines and social media buzz instead of respecting the sport's integrity. Froch has always been about legacy, about proving himself against the best, about giving fans real, meaningful competition. He sees Fury's antics, the screaming, the threats, the obvious money-grabbing motivations, and it genuinely offends him as someone who dedicated his life to the craft. This isn't just about settling a personal beef anymore. Froch feels like he's defending the sport itself against someone who's treating it like a joke. And you know what? That kind of motivation is dangerous. When fighters get personally invested beyond just winning or losing, when they feel like they're fighting for something bigger than themselves, that's when they reach another level entirely. Froch isn't just planning to beat John Fury, he's planning to make an example out of him, to show everyone what happens when you disrespect boxing and think you can fake your way through with theatrics and bluster.
It's going to be a waste if you keep fighting these crossover fights. All right, you're taking the money, that's great. But when your career's over and you've finished, you want your legacy to be intact. You want that respect, and you're killing off the fans. The fans are turning against you. You can see it with the comments on all your videos and the stuff you say. You can see that they're turning against you, and it's sad to see. I don't mind you giving me stick. You're having a bit of a go back, you're defending yourself, you're on your back foot, and deep down I think you know you're hurting the sport, and I think you know that actually what you're doing is bad for the game. You're taking the money instead of being full of pride for the sport.
The boxing analysts are being absolutely ruthless about John Fury's chances, and their assessment is devastating. Joe Egan broke it down perfectly. Fury is nothing more than a loud-mouthed bully who's never proven himself against legitimate competition. Meanwhile, Carl Froch is a legitimate Hall of Famer who built his reputation by consistently defeating world-class opposition. Think about Froch's resume for a second. This is a man who traveled to opponents' home countries, fought in hostile environments, and still found ways to win. He knocked out George Groves in front of Groves' own fans. He went to Denmark and beat Mikkel Kessler in Copenhagen. He survived a war with Andre Ward that many people thought he won. These aren't just victories, they're statements. John Fury's intimidation tactics might work on social media or at press conferences, but inside the ring, there's nowhere to hide. Froch's precision, his fight IQ, his ability to stay calm under pressure and execute game plans, these are skills developed over decades of facing killers. Fury's going to try to make this ugly, try to turn it into a street fight, but Froch has dealt with dirty fighters before. The difference is, those other guys could actually box too.
I watched Carl Froch getting knocked down by George Groves. He was gone. Carl Froch has an incredible...
Now this is where it gets absolutely wild. Liam Smith exposed something crucial about John Fury that everyone needs to understand. The man has actually been beaten before, and not by some legendary knockout artist, but by Henry Akinwand, a guy known more for his defensive skills than his punching power. Let that sink in for a moment. John Fury, who talks like he's some unstoppable force of nature, got outboxed by a guy whose main talent was not getting hit. What does that tell you about Fury's actual boxing ability? It tells you that underneath all the screaming and posturing, he's fundamentally limited as a fighter. He relies on intimidation and physical presence because he doesn't have the technical skills to compete with real boxers. Carl Froch has made a career out of exposing exactly these types of fighters. His precision, his timing, his ability to make opponents pay for every reckless movement. These are the tools that turn aggressive brawlers into cautionary tales. Every time Fury tries to bull forward with that wild, chaotic energy, he's going to walk straight into perfectly timed counters that will teach him the difference between looking tough and actually being tough.
Win the fights that he's had with the great champions, and he's come out of the sport intact. For John Fury to be calling out Carl Froch.
Johnny Nelson absolutely destroyed John Fury with his recent analysis, and honestly, it was painful to watch. Nelson pointed out that while Fury creates chaos and generates headlines, Carl Froch is going to systematically tear him apart once they're locked in that ring together. The entertainment value of Fury's antics stops being funny when you realize he's about to face someone who spent his entire career perfecting the art of inflicting damage on people who think they're tougher than they actually are. Nelson highlighted something crucial: Froch's experience and technique aren't just advantages. They're weapons specifically designed to punish the kind of reckless aggression that Fury represents. Under pressure, when the adrenaline is flowing and the crowd is roaring, Froch becomes more dangerous, more focused, more precise. Fury becomes more wild, more desperate, more vulnerable. The contrast between chaos and professional boxing mastery is going to be stark, and it's going to be brutal. Fans expecting some kind of competitive back-and-forth war are probably going to be disappointed. This has all the makings of a systematic dismantling.
Coach Carl Froch, screaming all these things at him, the fighting man, John Fury, 100-0 on the hard road, in spite of the fact he's been ironed out in the boxing ring plenty of times, including by non-punchers like Henry acted one day, and it's all there for the people.
Adam Smith revealed something fascinating about how this whole fight came together, and it shows just how deep John Fury's ego problems really run. Apparently, Carl Froch was just generally criticizing the Fury family's antics and approach to boxing, not even specifically calling out John for a fight. But John's ego couldn't handle even indirect criticism, so he started demanding a face-to-face confrontation. Think about that psychology for a second. Froch wasn't even trying to bait him into a fight. He was just expressing his opinion about their behavior. But Fury's pride was so wounded that he basically talked himself into getting beaten up by a Hall of Famer. This isn't strategic thinking. This is pure emotional reaction, and emotional fighters make terrible decisions under pressure. The fact that Fury's ego drove him to seek out this confrontation tells you everything you need to know about his mental approach to competition. Meanwhile, Froch's methodical, calculated response shows he's thinking several moves ahead. He didn't chase this fight. He let Fury's own insecurities deliver it to him on a silver platter. And now that it's official, Froch can prepare specifically for Fury's weaknesses, while Fury is still caught up in trying to prove some kind of point about respect and reputation.
Watch Froch on fighting, because I'm quite sure Carl's going to rip the life out of John after today. I think John did a job. John did a job and got the excitement going, got people talking. That's exactly what he...
Here's what makes this situation even more insane. Liam Smith broke down the history between these two, and it turns out John Fury has been holding grudges and talking trash about Carl Froch for years. This isn't some recent beef that developed over a few weeks of social media back and forth. Fury has been building up resentment and animosity toward Froch for a long time, probably because he sees everything Froch accomplished and knows he never had the skills or dedication to achieve anything similar. What started as online banter and YouTube videos has now escalated into a legitimate professional fight, with charity stipulations and exhibition talks that only added more fuel to an already burning fire. But here's the kicker. All that built-up anger and resentment is going to work against Fury on fight night. Emotional fighters make mistakes. They abandon game plans, they get reckless, they prioritize hurting their opponent over protecting themselves. Froch, meanwhile, has learned to channel emotion into focus. The angrier he gets, the more precise he becomes. Fury's been feeding his own anger for years, thinking it makes him more dangerous, but he's actually been preparing himself to walk into a trap.
Go at the Furies probably over his time on his channel, maybe, I'm guessing, and John didn't like that and wants to have a fight with him, something like that.
It was something like that. I don't think he was still necessarily turning down.
The footage of John Fury lunging at Carl Froch during their recent confrontation tells you everything you need to know about how this fight is going to go. Fury comes charging forward like an absolute maniac. No technique, no strategy, just pure aggression, and the hope that his size and intensity will overwhelm his opponent. It might look intimidating to casual observers, but to anyone who understands boxing, it's a highlight reel of fundamental mistakes waiting to be exploited. Carl Froch has spent his entire career facing world-class opponents who combined genuine skill with that kind of aggressive energy. Guys like George Groves had the boxing ability to make their aggression dangerous. John Fury just has the aggression. Froch's years of experience against elite-level competition mean he can read Fury's movements before Fury even knows what he's going to do next. Every wild charge, every reckless attack, every moment where Fury thinks he's being intimidating, these are all opportunities for perfectly timed counters that will teach him the difference between looking scary and actually being effective. The man's own theatrics are going to be his downfall.
In the world, he's not going to get in the ring and start throwing punches, ever. So he needs to, go on, John Fury, piss off.
Don't think I could have put it any better myself. John Fury, once again, putting blocks in between him, a potential Carl Froch fight, and a potential Joe Egan fight, so he doesn't have to back up all these outrageous claims of any man, any place, any time. There's no...
Now this is absolutely brilliant analysis. The experts are pointing out that John Fury's entire persona is built around showing off and flexing in the most ridiculous ways possible, but none of it translates to actual fighting ability. It's all spectacle, all performance, designed to get attention and make headlines rather than win fights. Carl Froch thrives on confronting exactly this type of manufactured intimidation because he's seen through it his entire career. Real fighters don't need to scream and gesture wildly to prove how dangerous they are. Their skills speak for themselves. In the ring, raw ego and foolish displays become massive liabilities against someone with proper strategy, accuracy, and power developed over decades of professional competition. Every time Fury tries to shock or scare with his over-the-top antics, he's actually giving Froch information about his mental state, his lack of discipline, his tendency to prioritize appearance over substance. Professional fighters are trained to turn those kinds of emotional displays into openings for devastating counters. Fury thinks he's being intimidating, but he's actually advertising his weaknesses to someone who spent his career capitalizing on exactly those types of mistakes.
Talking of fights, I mean, John Fury looked like he was trying to fight Carl Froch. Obviously, Carl has said a few things about John Fury over the last few months, and John Fury, being John Fury, went straight for him. I'm not quite sure what he was going to do if he got to him, but I guess that was the entertainment from the press conference.
Here's something that's going to shock a lot of people who only know Carl Froch's reputation for boxing skill and ring intelligence. The man hits significantly harder than most people realize. Everyone focuses on his footwork, his tactical brilliance, his ability to outthink opponents, but they seriously underestimate the sheer destructive power behind his punches. Against someone like John Fury, that overlooked power becomes an absolute game changer. Fury is probably expecting to deal with a technical boxer who'll try to outpoint him over the distance. He's not prepared for someone who combines elite-level boxing IQ with legitimate knockout power that can end the fight in a single moment. Froch's timing and precision mean that when he does decide to let his hands go, the shots land clean and with maximum impact. Fury can rely on his size and try to intimidate all he wants, but when controlled devastation meets reckless bravado, there's only one possible outcome. Fans are about to witness what happens when years of professional technique and genuine knockout ability get unleashed on someone who thinks volume and aggression are substitutes for actual skill.
I think he said father of the king of the world. I think he's referring to Tyson Fury. You know, when you have kids, you know, most people, when they want to talk about their children, they might pull their mobile phone out and show a few pictures. Big John just shows his balls. That's where they came from. If there's anyone who needs a Manscaped advert, it's fucking John Fury.
Eddie Hearn made a fascinating point about the physical challenge John Fury represents, calling him a big old lump with completely unpredictable tendencies. And you know what? That's actually a perfect description. Fury is physically imposing, he's unpredictable, and he might try to use dirty tactics or unconventional approaches to gain an advantage. But here's what makes Carl Froch so dangerous in exactly these types of situations. His experience and timing allow him to capitalize on every single mistake, no matter how chaotic or unusual the circumstances become. Froch has faced dirty fighters before, guys who tried to make it ugly, who bent the rules, who relied on physical intimidation. The difference is, those fighters usually had legitimate boxing skills to back up their roughhouse tactics. John Fury is bringing the chaos without the skill set to make it effective. Fans are going to see a perfect contrast between reckless aggression and polished, devastating technique. This is exactly the kind of scenario where Froch has always thrived, where opponents think size, noise, and unpredictability are enough to overcome superior boxing ability. The Cobra can absorb pressure, read patterns even in chaotic situations, and strike with lethal precision that turns his opponent's own aggression into vulnerability. Fury's unpredictability isn't an asset, it's just undisciplined movement that creates openings for someone who knows how to exploit them.
That he's not good at.
He hits harder than people expect. I think a lot of people, obviously, they pick up on his boxing and how good of a boxer he is, but he hits harder than people expect.
The psychological aspect of this fight is absolutely fascinating when you really break it down. John Fury's passion for his sons and his family legacy is genuinely admirable, but that same emotional intensity is clouding his judgment in the worst possible way. When you watch him face-to-face with opponents or critics, you can literally see the fire in his eyes. He's not afraid to take on anyone, regardless of the consequences. But that fearlessness, that willingness to fight anybody anywhere, can become a massive liability when it's not backed up by the skills necessary to win those fights. Carl Froch, meanwhile, has built his entire career on thriving under pressure and exploiting raw aggression from opponents who let emotion override strategy. Fury's unpredictability and ego might generate headlines and social media buzz, but inside the ring, discipline, timing, and experience dominate every single time. Froch's calculated power, honed over decades of facing world-class opposition, is going to test every ounce of Fury's bravado in ways he's never experienced before. This isn't just a clash of personalities or a social media beef that got out of hand. This is skill versus chaos, precision versus unbridled aggression, and Froch's entire legacy is on the line as he prepares to definitively put John Fury in his place and remind everyone why technical excellence always trumps manufactured drama.
I would never back against Carl Froch on the cobbles. Ever. But John Fury's a big old lump. There'll be some illegal moves in there. Do you know what I mean? But if they ever get close, Carl will be swinging. Do you know what I mean?
So there you have it. Carl Froch versus John Fury on September 26, 2026. A Hall of Fame boxer with genuine world-class experience facing off against a 60-year-old man whose biggest qualification is being loud at press conferences. Fury's been building up anger and resentment for years, thinking it makes him dangerous. but he's actually just prepared himself to walk into a systematic beating by someone who's forgotten more about professional boxing than Fury will ever know. This isn't just about settling a personal beef anymore. It's about defending the integrity of boxing itself against someone who thinks theatrics and social media buzz are substitutes for actual skill. And honestly, watching Froch methodically dismantle Fury's entire persona is going to be both educational and brutal. Here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think John Fury actually believes his own hype, or does he know deep down that he's about to get exposed by a real professional? And what round do you think Froch ends this circus act? If this breakdown helped you understand why this fight is going to be a one-sided massacre, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because the build-up to September 26th is going to be absolutely insane. I'll see you in the next one.
I watched Carl Froch getting knocked down by George Groves. He was gone. Carl Froch has an incredible win, the fights that he's had with the great champions, and he's come out of the sport intact. For John Fury to be calling out Carl Froch on his opinion, because Carl Froch is entitled to give his opinion